Welcome to the Made You Think podcast. Podcast. Ah, yeah. Welcome to the Made You Think podcast. Welcome to the Made You Think podcast.
Welcome back to the Made You Think podcast. I'm your host, Megan Scorp. Before we begin, remember that the views shared on this podcast are based on personal thoughts, experiences, and observations. The purpose of this podcast isn't to tell you what to believe, it's to challenge perspectives, spark reflection, and encourage meaningful growth. You don't have to agree with everything you hear. In fact, disagreement can be healthy. My hope is simply that each episode leaves you seeing life from a different angle and asking yourself better questions. After all, it's called Made You Think for a reason, right? All right, so let's begin. So last time we talked about comfort zones, how sometimes the things that feel safest is actually the things that keep us stuck. So how your comfort zones can become a prison, how your growth often requires stepping into that unknown. But today, I want to talk about something that happens after you step out of that comfort zone. Something nobody really prepares you for. Because leaving your comfort zone sounds exciting until you realize nobody showed up with pom-poms, right? Making you think already? So today's question is, how do you keep going when no one is your cheerleader? How do you keep building when nobody is clapping? How do you keep believing when nobody is encouraging? How do you keep pushing when the people you expected support from are suddenly quiet? That's what we're talking about today. Because if we're honest, most people aren't stopped by failure. They're stopped by the silence of the people around them. Made you think? See, when we were young, we got all the applause. We was always celebrated. You take your first step, everybody cheers. Yay! You graduate from kindergarten, elementary, middle, high school, everybody cheers. Brings you flowers. You score a point in the game, everybody cheers. You get a certificate, you graduate from college, everybody cheers. We've been so conditioned to associate progress with recognition. When I was younger, there was a pastor that acknowledged an accomplishment that my son did. And we all in the congregation was about to clap. He stopped the whole congregation. He said, "There's no need for clapping." He said, "You are conditioning this young man to seek praise when he does something. It's okay to acknowledge, but we don't need to praise everything he does." Now, you know me, I'm the mama. I sat there, I'm not happy with that. I looked at that pastor like he had 3 heads. I wanted my son to know I was proud of him. I wanted the congregation to make sure that they were proud of him. But now, that pastor might have had a point. Because see, adulthood introduces things in a different reality. Sometimes you're doing your hardest work of your life and nobody notices. Nobody congratulates you for paying off debt or paying off your car. Nobody throws a parade because you're healing internally or externally. Nobody buys balloons because you're overcoming anxiety. Nobody gives you a standing ovation because you chose not to quit. And you know what? That's where character gets tested. Whew. Made you think on that one. Are you reflecting? Because what happens when the applause disappears? What happens when the likes stop coming in? What happens when the encouragement dries up? What happens when nobody believes in the dream except you? That's where most people turn around. Most people give up. That's where most people retreat back into the comfort zone. Because the comfort zone may not be fulfilling, but at least it's familiar and stable. And familiar feels safe. And it's a lot safer than being unsupported. Is that happening to you? Is that your life? Because let's be honest. Everybody loves being celebrated. I love being celebrated. Send me a message that says I'm proud of you. Keep going. You got this. You love being celebrated. Even people who claim they don't care what others think, still check who viewed their social media story. Don't act brand new. Be real with yourself. Because we're all here having the same feelings. Because see, growth requires learning something difficult. You cannot make external validation your fuel source. Because external validation is unreliable. Some days people support you. Some days they ignore you. Some days they cheer you, yay! And some days they criticize you. Some days they are inspired by your journey, and some days they are annoyed by it. If your motivation depends on people, your consistency will suffer every time people change. And people change often. Yes, they do. Are you thinking? See, there comes a point where your purpose has to become louder than your need for applause. That's maturity. That's being mentally rich and not broken. When the mission matters more than the recognition. When the goal matters more than the praise. When your future becomes more important than your feelings. That's growth. That's learning. Because if you're waiting for everybody to believe in you before you start, I'm sorry to tell you, you may never start. And that's sad. Let me be completely transparent with you. Most people won't support you, but they don't understand. And sometimes those people are in your own living room. I have several family members who don't support my podcast. It's not that they don't love me. They don't understand the joy I have crafting and designing the podcast. I was simply told, the podcast was too deep and not their cup of tea. You know what? That's okay. Everybody has an opinion because their cup of tea doesn't dictate my assignment. But whoop, it sure did hurt at first. And let's be fair. Sometimes they're not trying to hurt you. Sometimes they genuinely don't understand. Because people can only support from the level of awareness they possess. Think about that. You're looking at the vision. They're looking at the current reality. Maybe you don't have a job, but you're starting a business. They may think your priorities are mixed up. You're looking at potential. They're looking at evidence. You're looking at possibilities. They're looking at probabilities. And those are not the same thing. You see a business, they see a hobby. You see a future, they see a risk. You see an opportunity, and they see uncertainty because they can't see what you see. Therefore, they stay silent. A person who's never dreamed big won't always understand your vision. A person who's never left their comfort zone won't understand your courage. A person who's never started over won't understand your determination. That's why you can't require understanding from everybody. Ooh. Are you reflecting? Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Sometimes the people you expected to support you won't. Yeah, let's sit there for a second. Because sometimes customers believe in you before your friends. Sometimes the people you never met encourage you more than the people you've known for years. And sometimes that might hurt. You might be asking, why? Expectations create disappointment. When you start things, you imagine support. You imagine the excitement from other people, especially the people you know. You imagine encouragement. Instead, you get silence. Did I make you think? But here's the lesson, though. Silence is not always rejection. Sometimes people are simply watching on the sideline, watching to see if you're serious, watching to see if you'll quit, watching to see if this is just another temporary phase. Because people have seen a lot of unfinished dreams, a lot of abandoned goals, a lot of announcements, but no follow through. And sometimes they don't cheer immediately. They're waiting on the consistency. Let me see if they're still doing this a month later. Let me see if they're still into it. And honestly, that's why discipline matters so much. Because motivation loves an audience. But discipline, that works in empty rooms. Motivation says, look at me, see me, see me. Whereas discipline says, let's get to work. Let me get up. Let me move on. Let me keep putting the work in. Because see, motivation performs, but discipline produces. And when nobody's cheering, discipline becomes your best friend. What do you think? Are you thinking? Are you reflecting? And you know what's funny? The people we admire most often spend years being ignored. Years. Not days, not weeks. Years. Building, creating, practicing, failing, learning, growing with little recognition. You've heard pastors say, we started in my basement. We started in my living room. It was just 3 of us. And now there's a mega church. See, the success happened publicly, but the preparation, that happened privately. And that's where many people quit. They fall in love with the outcome, but not the process. Did I hit a nerve? So let's talk about self-encouragement, because eventually you have to learn how to become your own cheerleader. Now, I know that sounds strange, but think about it. You talk to yourself more than anybody else. All those inner thoughts having a conference meeting in your head. So why is your inner voice often your harshest critic? You miss one goal, you're upset with yourself. You make one mistake, you're frustrated with yourself. You experience one setback, and you start questioning everything that you do. Meanwhile, on the flip side, if your best friend made the same mistake, you'd probably say, oh girl, you got this. Keep going. It's just a temporary setback. Pick yourself up and try again. I got you. So why don't you talk to yourself that way? Huh? Think about that. See, maybe one of the most powerful skills in life is learning how to encourage yourself, not through arrogance, but just simply through belief. The ability to say, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I definitely am not where I used to be. That's progress. That's the ability to celebrate the small wins, because small wins become big victories. Like learning how to get a podcast on several social media platforms. Woo-hoo. That was me. And let's be honest, sometimes you have to become obsessed with the process, not the applause, not the attention, not the recognition, the process. Because if you fall in love with getting bigger and better, you'll keep going, even when nobody notices. You'll keep learning. You'll keep building. You'll keep growing. You will keep improving. And eventually, the results become impossible to ignore. How about that? I hope this is encouraging. Because you know what else helps? Remembering why you started. Because the journey will test you. Believe me, the journey will definitely test you. The silence from others will test you. The setbacks will test you. The lack of support will test you. But purpose? Oh, that provides you endurance. Purpose keeps you moving when your emotions fluctuate. Purpose keeps you moving when motivation disappears. Because purpose isn't dependent on applause. Purpose keeps you moving when nobody understands. It's dependent on conviction. And maybe that's why some of y'all are listening today, because you've been carrying something alone, building something alone, healing alone, growing alone, dreaming alone, and you're wondering if it's worth it. Well, let me tell you right now, yes, it is worth it. I'm cheering for you. Keep going. Not because everybody believes, but because you believe. Not because everybody sees it, but because you see it. Not because the road is easy, but because the destination, the end game, is worth it to you. One day, the people who didn't understand will notice. One day, the people who doubted will see. One day, the work you've been doing in private will produce results in public. But don't wait for that day to stay committed. Stay committed today. Stay committed in the silence. Stay committed in the uncertainty. Stay committed when nobody's clapping. Because the people who change their lives aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who learned how to keep moving without constant encouragement from others. And maybe that's the real lesson here. The goal isn't finding more cheerleaders. The goal is becoming so connected to your purpose that you no longer require them. Because one day you'll realize something so beautiful. That lonely road that felt empty will actually build the strength you needed all along. And when you finally arrive where you're meant to be, you'll understand why the silence was necessary. Because it taught you how to believe in yourself. Oof. Powerful. Now, if today's conversation challenged you, inspired you, or helped you see life from a different perspective, don't let it stop here. Take one thought, one lesson, one action, and put it to work this week. Because change doesn't happen when we simply think about it. Change happens when we act on what we've learned. So stop waiting for that perfect moment. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. Your future is built by the decisions you make today. So thank you for spending time with me on the Made You Think podcast. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with someone who needs a little inspiration. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Until next time, keep growing, keep questioning, keep believing, and keep becoming the person you're capable of being. I'm your host, Megan Scorp, and this has been Made You Think. See you next episode.